back to Math PT 103. Today we're going to cover basic operations with real numbers. You can find this file on Blackboard and print it out and follow along if you'd like. So the two topics we're going to talk about today are integers and fractions. And first we'll start with integers and specifically addition of those. To help myself with integers, the thing that I try and think about is money. Because money is something that I work with on a daily basis. I do our budget, so I have money coming in and I have money going out. So if I think of the positive integers as money coming in or money that I have, and the negative integers as money that I have to pay somebody else, it just makes more sense in my brain. Anytime you can relate math to another experience you have in your life, it tends to stick with you better. So the first problem that you can see on here is -9 plus -8. They're both positive numbers, so they're numbers that are coming into us. We have $9, we also have $8 coming in, and so we have a total of $17. Make sure my pen's working. Now on the second one, we have -10 plus -35. In other words, we owe somebody $10, we owe somebody $35. So we definitely still owe the person. So if I think about, I just leave the negative there, and then I come over here and I think about, okay, I owe them both amounts, so 10 plus 35 is 45, so I owe them $45. That's why it's still a negative number. Number 3 has both a negative and a positive number. So I owe somebody $9, but I have $6 sitting in my wallet. So I'm going to pay them back the $6, but I'm still going to owe them some more money since I owe them more than what I have. So I know it's a negative. Come over here. I owed them 9. I gave them back 6. So it's the difference of 3. And since I owed them more, I owe them 3. When you're thinking about them being signs of opposites, whichever one is the bigger number, since I owe more, my answer has to be negative. On number 4, I have more money than I owe, so my answer is going to be a positive number. So then I can come over here and I can go, okay, I have 15 in my wallet. I'm going to give them the $10 that I owe them. The difference is 5, and since it's money that's still in my wallet, I have $5 or a positive 5. Now we can do this same process with multiple numbers, not just 2. So in the next one we have 2 negatives and a single positive. So I owe 2 people money and I have $34. How you do this is totally up to you. You can do the 2 negatives together, figure out what your total debt, and then pay off part of it. I'm noticing that 34 is more than 29, so I'm actually going to do these 2 first. If I have $34 in my wallet and I owe somebody 29, in that case I know I'm going to end up in a positive still. So 34 minus the 29 is $5 still left in my wallet, so I have a positive 5. Now, I do still owe somebody $20. So I have a negative 20 and a positive 5. Since I owe more than I have, my answer is going to be a negative. So I can come over here and go 20 minus 5 to find the difference. So I owe them $15 because I owe more than I have. So of course we have to be able to do this in the situation of a story problem. So a company showed a loss of $345,000 for the first half of the year and a profit of $268,700 for the second half of the year. What was the overall profit for the year? So overall profit is when we put 2 numbers together. So we're going to be adding these numbers. Now the first one was actually a loss. So unfortunately it's a negative amount that the company has. Because if they have a loss, they actually owe somebody or multiple people more than the money they brought in. So the first one's a negative. The next one they actually did make a profit, so they have more money than they had to pay out. So that's a positive $268,700. Now as we look at these numbers, we can see that the negative amount is more than the positive amount. So unfortunately this company had a negative profit for the year. They actually ended up in the hole. So I know my answer is negative. Now I don't worry about the negative anymore. I've got that taken care of. So now I'm just going to find the difference between those 2 numbers. Now if you want, you're welcome to use a calculator at this point, or if you want, you can go ahead and do this by hand. So I'm going to subtract those, 0, 0. Doing it by hand, I'll have to borrow. Looks like I have to borrow again. 14 minus 8 is 6. Borrow from the 3. 13 minus 6 is 7. 2 minus 2, nothing left. So since the $345,000 loss is more than the profit of $268,700, they ended up in the hole, or negative $76,300 at the end of the year. Definitely not a good thing if you're a business. So now let's go ahead and move down to subtraction of integers. So you'll notice that we still have our two different integers. The difference is there's a subtraction sign in the middle instead of an addition sign. Since we've already talked about addition, it makes sense to stay with what we know. So instead of doing subtraction, I'm going to show that we're going to change. We're going to change this to a plus because I already know how to add. Now if I change that, I have to do another change that makes up for it. And so I'm going to change the next one also to a positive. So my new problem ends up becoming negative 7 plus a positive 10. Now it looks like the problems we did above. I owe somebody $7. I have $10. So since I have more than I owe, I'm definitely going to end up in a positive. So I'm going to come over here. I have 10. I pay back the 7. So I have a $3 positive. So $3 left in my wallet to go do something. Now I'm going to do the same idea here on number 8. So I have a negative 24, which I'm going to leave. I'm going to change the subtraction here to an addition. To offset that change, I have to change the next number. So instead of it being a positive 8, it's now going to be 8 in the whole. So now this is the scenario I'm working with. So I really actually owe one person $24 and I owe somebody else $8. So I'm really in the hole both ways. Since I really just owe, I have a negative number. So I'm not paying anybody back, I'm just going farther in debt. So 24 plus 8 is 32, so I really owe $32 if I look at this total. Similar here, we just don't have the parentheses separating them. So it's going to be 25. Now if I put the parentheses in so I can see it, it's 25. Now it's plus. That 30 is a positive because when there's no sign written there, it's a plus. So now it has to go to a minus or a negative. So really I have $25 in my wallet, but I owe somebody $30. Since I owe more than I have, it's a negative. I owe 30, pay them back the 25. Looks like I still owe them $5. The voltage across an element with respect to the ground is negative 6.5 volts initially, and then it changes to 14.7 volts. Determine the change in the voltage. So change is a way of saying how are they different. So whenever you see this word change, the math is subtraction. So it started at negative 6.5, so we have to start with that number as well. Change, so it's a subtraction problem. It changed to a positive 14.7. Now I'm going to treat it just like I treated these subtraction problems up here, so we're going to change it. So we got negative 6.5. We're going to change the subtraction to an addition. We're changing the positive 14.7 to a negative 14.7. So truly what's happening is it was negative 6.5, it went down 14.7, and so we want to see how it changed. It changed negative, we're going to put those two together, that's 21.2. So it changed 21.2 volts. Okay, we're going to have to do this lesson in two parts. So I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I will upload the second video in a little while.